somebody used the word pest. We have pests living on both sides of the border, India border as well as, and they got into trouble just a few days ago. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm sure every one of us has been following what happened on 22nd of April and thereafter. It's a story I just narrated with the help of some slides, etc. Only to put you in maybe slightly better picture for some of you, and then also leave some points for thinking what happens or what can happen in future. Now, after Kargil war, Pakistan did not dare to launch another conventional or limited conventional war. But it has continued with its sponsored proxy war. I'm using the word sponsored because it is sponsored by the Pakistan government and the Pakistan Army in particular, with organizations like Lashkar-e-Taiba and Jaish-e-Mohammed and some others like that. The turning point came on the 18th of September 2016, when the terrorists raided an Uri camp. And for the first time, now I'm sharing this with you, for the first time the government asked the army to go across the line of control and do something about it. Till then, if we carried out a few raids on the other side of LOC, they were never because of the government, it was because the local commander wanted to do something, dominate the LOC as we call it. But for the first time, the government asked the army to do something, and that's how we carried out that shallow, I would say, surgical strike as we call it. And then the next incident took place on 18th of 2016, soon after, can I have the other mic, please?
Yes, sir. And mic.
Take your mic, please.
From here you can't look back at the right.
So the other incident took place on 18 September 2016, I think about a month after Tiny had taken over 4 days. And that was when 46 of the CRPF boys got killed when they were traveling in a convoy. And so that was another time when the government said, do something. Now, doing something turned out outside. In Pakistan, it was the strike in Balakot, where our Air Force went all the way to the Daesh training camp, and they hit them, and they came back all very safe. And great achievement, because it was not only going across the line of control, it was going deep into Pakistan. And the problem inside was sorted out by Tiny. I think within a few days he managed to get hold of the people who had been helping, who had helped in doing that very wrong thing that so that was Balakot strike. And then on that, these are two major incidents took place, but the minor incidents were still taking place. There was an attack on Nahar in Pathankot, there was a problem in Gurdaspur, and many of these things continued there. And then this very unfortunate and horrific incident that took place on 22nd of April in Baisaran, Pahalgam. Now, why did it take place? And very briefly I touch upon that. Obviously, people were not happy in Pakistan because of the kind of development and peace that has come about and it was so obvious to everybody. So they did not want, it was not to their liking. They also wanted to create the gap between our communities, and that is why they asked, "Tum Hindu hai ya?" You know what that. I mean, obviously they are not happy with the secular system that we are following, and they believe in two-nation theory. While over here we have not been able to do that. We have not been doing that. And the third is important. There have been Pakistan really, if you ask me, is in a mess. Economically, politically, in every respect. And the army, Pakistan army is in a bigger mess. They have not been able to control things in Balochistan or northwest frontier province. And the Pakistan army image itself has been being really hit. They have primarily because of, I would say, Imran Khan, because the most popular political leader, they have put him in jail, and everybody knows who is responsible for that. So these are some of the reasons why they probably carried out that. So after 22nd April, apparently our government now decided to make it harder, give it a real strong hit, because as Tani has also been saying, unless you ensure that the other person feels the pain, they will continue to do that, and so this time the government felt that we have to cause much greater pain than they ever felt so far. And this time they followed, the government followed what we call the whole of the nation. So it was not only just the military action, but we combined it with the political, we combined it with the economic action, and the most important weapon which you have seen, which you have discussed earlier, I think was the Indus water treaty that has been this thing. Even today I feel that what we have done this time, we've had many discussions earlier, incidentally, on Indus water treaty. During my time also we discussed this matter, but no political authority had dared to touch that. But this time we did that, and that is how Indus water treaty was used as a weapon itself. 7th May was the day when our people went across and they hit the camps of the terrorists only. And it was also spoken to the other side that we are only hitting the terrorist camps. Whether there was a need for that or not, that can be discussed. But the fact is that we just went only for that. Perhaps it was it was to control the escalation. That was probably the reason for that. And then the artillery shelling started in a very intense way, not only along the line of control, but also along the international border which we have between Pathankot and Jammu. We call that an international border. There also a lot of shelling took place, and unfortunately, a lot of school children got killed in Puch. I think 12 children got killed. Many others in Uri also, a lot of people got killed. Now, Pakistan retaliated with strong drones and missiles, and fortunately, our AD weapons were all kinds of AD weapons. Some of them I will describe to you a little later. So they were very effective. So they did the swarm drones tactics of the Pakistani, and mind you, all these drones had either come from Turkey or from China. They were ineffective. And then on the 10th of May, again they tried to hit us, and we then went really strong. When they hit some of our military and civilian targets, then we went on the 10th side, and we almost got 11 airfields and radar stations. We hit them very badly. Now these are some of the photographs of Sindoor phase 1, May 7. And you see the places which we hit, which included two major places were Bhavalpur, which is the headquarters of Jaish-e-Mohammed, and the other is Markaz Taiba Murid, which is just about 40 kilometers, 42 kilometers from Lahore. It's so close to Lahore. And the others are all in the POK side, Sialkot. Sialkot is not POK, but it is close to Jammu. And Bimber, Kotri, all these are in the POK side. And then, as I said, after we did that, their reaction was they tried to hit with drones all along the border, right from Kashmir, right going to Bhuj. On one night, all over the place, they tried to hit some of our airfields, military, civil targets, all kinds of targets they tried to hit. You see that even Bhuj is an important airfield we have got there, and of course the radar station, etc. These are some of the drones which were destroyed, and then their parts which were picked up by people. These are all, now most of these were kamikaze drones. That means that the drone goes, hits, and then it gets killed. I mean, it's unmanned. So they are called kamikaze drones. And then two places near Bishna, Jammu, and also again Bishna. Bishna is near Jammu. That is where some of these are destroyed, and I've got these photographs picked up on that. On 10th of May, these are other places where enemy drones were picked up. Araspura, Pathankot. These are all the different kinds of drones that were destroyed by our weapon systems. This is unfortunate where they hit our Gurdwara Sahib in Bhuj. And you know this Gurdwara, you'd be surprised that in 71 war, when the real lot of fighting took place in that area, this Gurdwara did not get any hit at all. I mean, it is very well known, and everybody who, the Fauji, the non-Fauji, they have great respect for this place. But this time it got hit, and I think one person died also. So then, as I said, after that they tried to hit some of our Air Force bases, which suffered limited damage. Udhampur, Pathankot, Adhampur, Bhuj. Some, because this time they were targeting the airfield to be able to make them unusable. That was the purpose. And some damage occurred there. And then, now this I think is showing all the airfields and radar stations that we hit on the 10th. And mind you, we used most of them, most places we used our BrahMos missiles. So this is a map just showing all kinds of wherever these locations were hit by both us as well as them. These are targeting of the Pak air bases. You see, last time when people went to, our Air Force people went to Barakot, people asked them, "Aapke paas proof kya hai?" So this time the proof was brought, and these are all the photographs of the airfield, the kind of damage that has been done. And this time it was not only our images, but even the commercial satellite pictures were also available to be able to show to everybody what kind of damage was done. I again, the Jakbad, they have played Sarkoda, and of course Noor Khan is the old, what is it called? Rawalpindi, it's an old airfield. They have changed the name now.
Chaklala. Oh,
Chaklala.
Chaklala, I think.
Chaklala. This, on the top left, you know, the targets were within our range of the ships. Karachi, that area, the targets were absolutely within the range, although we did not use BrahMos from the ships, but we could have used them. But the ships being there, our naval ships being there, they were dominating outside the EEZ of the Pakistan, but they were able to dominate all the ships going out or coming in to Karachi. Incidentally, the last photograph is of the damaged drone and missile taken very close to Amritsar. And that is why we thought that some people were trying to, from the other side, targeting Harimandir Sahib Gurdwara also. On the right side is the photograph of the S-400 SAM. And in the army, Indian army, they call it Sudarshan Chakra. This, which we purchased from Russia a few years ago, despite all the protests that we faced from USA. But this turned out to be very effective air defense weapon. Again, these are hits from by our BrahMos missile. I'm going back. Now, BrahMos is perhaps the fastest missile that we have got, both surface to air, air to air, sea to air. And 2.8 Mach means that 2.8
Times.
faster than the sound. And that makes it very difficult for any enemy to intercept and destroy it. The Akash missile, which had probably taken almost about 25 years, it was under development during my time, and now it has become usable, and that turned out to be an extremely effective weapon system. And that's our own weapon system, much better than any other surface-to-air missile or air-to-air missile. Incidentally, on the bottom right, this is a equipment called Akash 3. Now, Akash 3 is able to coordinate the activities of all the air defense weapons when they are targeting one. Not only just Akash, but even other weapons also. You know, this coordination takes place, and then finally it gets the order to fire in that to that target. Now, this is again developed by us only. You know, in one particular area you may find 10 different types of air defense weapons. Some from the army, some from the air force. But then this equipment permits us to carry out the coordination and then hit them. Well, it was decimation, frankly. I mean, the 10th May strikes that we did, it really decimated, made all their airfield unusable. Okay, as I said, you know, that strike on the 10th showed that we were now capable of giving them very heavy punishment, kinetically also. And perhaps that was the message that we wanted to send. Whole of the nation strategy, as I said, I have already mentioned it. And the good thing was that some of our new defense capabilities, which we have acquired in the last 2 years, they were very effective. I mean, you know, you can test a weapon during peacetime, but when you test a weapon during war, it really is authoritative. And that enables a lot of countries to either sell or not sell their weapons. In our case, we can be very proud that equipment like Akash, or BrahMos, etc., they turned out to be very effective. Incidentally, that it started a war between France and China. French saying that they have good weapon system. The Chinese saying that no, and that is why over and over again you find this Rafale business. They may have dropped some, I don't know, but only the aircraft which was being named again and again was Rafale, because this was a competition between the French company and the from the Chinese companies. Successful coordination. This is the first time that we have carried out all these activities, this operation, when we have a CDS. During Kargil time, we did not have CDS. I was chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff that time, but we did not have CDS system. CDS system came much later. Escalation control is something, we have to keep it in mind. After all, no politician would let you go anywhere close to where the other side could think of using nuclear weapons. The fact is that we have nuclear weapons. You can't totally ignore each other. And even more cautious than the armed forces people are the politicians. And that is why escalation control becomes important. It was there in Kargil war also, and it is here. It was could be felt here also. But I felt that we were being a little overcautious this time. That is why, if you would have, some of you would have noticed my tweet on the 10th, and I was not very happy that day. That why did we stop it so suddenly? But the other place where I think we have lost out slightly this time is the perception management. We have not really been successful in information war, and that is why Pakistan has been able to get an edge over us in talking about the losses and the kind of, they're going around all over the world as if they have won the war. I'm sure gradually people will get to know what is the truth, but I felt that we perhaps could have done better in perception management as soon as we started these. This has to be considered and has to be thought of along with your normal strategic plan. You can't wait for something to happen and then you start thinking of that. You can't do it. It is part and parcel of your strategy today when we carry out this kind of operational activity. Now, apparently the government has declared the policy, the Prime Minister has said again and again, zero tolerance. Any terror attack on India would be regarded as an act of war and responded accordingly. Now this is a very heavy sentence as far as I am concerned. If there is a terror activity, one or two people, are we prepared to go to war again and carry out Operation Sindoor type of a thing? But that is the kind of a statement which has been made now. No differentiation between terrorists and their sponsors, long overdue. This was long overdue because I don't know why we kept on separating terrorists and the Pakistan army. I have always considered them to be together, and I have always been saying that look, they are only part of their army, the terrorists. They are the cheap labor available to them which can be easily sacrificed. That is what the Pakistan army has been making use of them all along. And we call it proxy war. So why consider them to be a separate entity? Nuclear blackmail, that has been, earlier we used to say that there is some space available. Now we have said that look, we are not going to suffer your nuclear blackmail. Because as soon as we talk about our superior conventional forces, etc., they will start shouting to people that we got nuclear weapons and we are going to. And then the whole world comes down heavily on both of us, India and Pakistan. Terror and talks, terror and trade, water and blood will not flow together. Now this is a policy that has been now, I would say, indicated for future. Whether it is necessary or not, that's a different matter. Some people feel that there is no need for us to lay down this kind of a policy in public. We can follow it whenever we want to. Now you are not leaving any flexibility really, because the other party will be prepared for this kind of activity. Now I'm going to raise some questions, I think, which is what was our political aim? Was it only to hit those terror targets? If it was only that, then I'm afraid we went wrong somewhere, because we should have expected right from the beginning that there will be retaliation from the other side. I'm not sure what was given, but our military aims flow from the political aim. Political direction tells you what is to be done. And if you go wrong in your political aim, then I'm afraid even your military aim can also go wrong. Has Operation Sindoor been an adequate message to Pakistan? I don't know yet. We'll have to wait and watch. It doesn't look like at the moment. The way Pakistan is going around and their army chief has been made a field marshal, whether he deserved it or not. But the fact is that these people can indulge again. You should expect them to indulge in something like that. Was it called off a bit early? I have given you my own impression. I felt that if in the army they teach you that when you reach an advantageous position, then you should exploit that success. Unfortunately, when we had reached that situation, we were not permitted to straight away on that very day we called it off. But if we had hit them harder for another 2 days or 3 days, then would they have been able to start with the kind of propaganda that they have? And I'm sure President Trump also would not have been able to take the credit that he has been taking. CDS has spoken about technical errors. Apparently they took place right in the beginning. It could be, I'm not sure about it, but I'm just giving my own guess. It could be because maybe we were not adequately prepared while we were hitting their terror targets. And that's where some damage could have occurred. I don't know exactly what happened, but we do know that some damage could have occurred. And that can occur only if you are not adequately prepared while undertaking an action. With Op Sindoor and India's new policy, will Pakistan give up its proxy war policy against India? Have we laid down red line for punishment? Again, as I said, when we say no terror act, every terror action will be an act of war, then you have to put down proper red lines for that, for the armed forces. Now today we say that Op Sindoor is on a pause. You cannot imagine, I'm just telling you that this means the kind of alertness that we have to maintain all along the border. It's not easy. All your troops along the border, the kind of weapon system that you have, air defense system that you have got. Also the civilians who are living along the line of control. All those people. So there is a huge amount of, there are implications in that. We carried out, we had Operation Prakram going on for 10 months. And during Operation Prakram, without going to war, we suffered almost twice the number of casualties as we suffered in Kargil war. So these are, the statements which we make in public. One has to be very careful what we say about that. As I said, India's new policy will require India's armed forces to be on 24/7 readiness for defense as well as for punitive actions. Now that's a very expensive way of maintaining our armed forces. The other thing is that we must expect that whatever we try, whatever action we take, Pakistan will retaliate. It has that capacity. To think that they will not do anything would be very wrong. So whatever we try to do, whichever way we try to, Pakistan will retaliate and we have to be prepared both for offense as well as defense at the same time. In fact, I would suggest that before you go for an offensive, you must also make sure that your defense preparation is all along the border is ready. And is India adequately prepared for that? Frankly speaking, if you ask me, we need to increase our budget for that. We do not have adequate budget for that kind of preparation. So I just leave some of these ideas here. I would say my own views on that. If there are any questions or any points from your side, I'm prepared to take.
Mike.
I find some. You have to, who's managing the time? I'm not going to manage the time. Just be careful.
We have time for questions.
Okay.
Hello sir, I have two questions and my first question is out of sheer curiosity about the Pahalgam attack. So in Pahalgam attack, the terrorists were there at Pahalgam for about 15 to 25 minutes. And this was the first time, if we compare it to the previous terrorist attacks like 26/11 or the others were there, that terrorists took their leisurely time asking people about specific community-based questions. It almost felt like they had no fear of army. So why is it so? Like it looked almost planned that 2-3 terrorists came and they were so freely roaming around, not just for 10 minutes, it was for 15 to 25 minutes, asking community-based questions. So what is your take on it?
Okay, firstly, army is not involved there. Okay, the police is involved. Under these circumstances, army is not required to be posted in such area. It is the job of the J&K police. Now there has been some confusion about it. Some people say that the police had not given permission for people to go there. That confusion is going on still. But when you open a particular spot for tourists in such large number, then you should also make arrangements for the police to be there. And that is there. I mean, every time I have gone to any of those places, you do find some policemen around. They may not be in large number, but they would be there. The other thing is that it's very difficult to find out who's a tourist and who's a terrorist. How do you mind? The terrorist is not wearing a uniform. He is not carrying a flag.
But sir, they are carrying the weapons.
Beg your pardon?
So they are carrying the weapons.
They are carrying the weapon, and that weapon can be hidden under their parrot.
Yes.
So, but I just kill this whole question because it has raised some question in my mind also. And I just leave it there that we need to carry out some kind of an inquiry on the functioning of the Unified Command. He has been a member of that Unified Command, General Tiny Dillon. I'm not sure whether it is functioning as well as it was in his time. And the Unified Command comprises intelligence agencies, RAW, IB, RAW, local police, Army, CRPF, J&K police, civil administration. Now this is under Lieutenant Governor of the, currently it is under the Lieutenant Governor of that. So there is a need for us to carry out that investigation, and if there has been any faults there of the kind that you are pointing out, they need to be sorted out.
So my second question is followed by this. Isn't it the second consecutive security lapses? First, I'm coming to the Pulwama attack. So the former governor, General Malik, he has pointed out that the CRPF convoy, which were moving, they had demanded the aircraft for the movement, but it was denied by the ministry. Isn't it the second security lapse by the government of India? And we have the Pulwama attack.
I think we let General Tiny didn't answer that because he was the one who was part of Unified Command.
Thank you, sir. And Mike.
I was a corps commander in Kashmir during Pulwama, and when I say corps commander, for the benefit of everyone, corps commander is responsible for the complete line of control along the POK, operation inside POK, operations on the line of control, counter-infiltration, as well as the counter-terrorist operations within the valley floor, the army component of it. In addition to intelligence, civil administration, media management, perception management. Now what Mr. General Malik has said, even if you demand an aircraft for, carriage of your passengers or people coming on leave or going from leave, the contract happens from the 1st of April to 31st of May with Indigo or Air India or anyone. All the forces like Army, there is a particular number which is there in Kashmir Valley. So we can predict that we need 2 aircrafts every Friday and Saturday because we know the leave party is going. Now CRPF strength keeps fluctuating. During winters, the CRPF goes out. During Amarnath Yatra, CRPF comes in. If the elections in Madhya Pradesh or Karnataka or Bihar, the CRPF goes out to manage those elections. And in the valley, the CRPF's strength is never constant, so that you cannot predict that next year you need 2 aircrafts, 3 aircrafts or 4 aircrafts. And even if they demanded, it would have come the next year, not this year. And it's a routine that troops move by road in a convoy. Even the army troops move, even the main bodies move. So this to say that CRPF ने demand किया था और government ने दिया नहीं, I think is a very, very, very wrong and biased statement, full of bias. I was there, I can tell you with 100% guarantee, I had no idea that CRPF has demanded, it has been denied. And as part of the unified command and overall in charge of operations, I ought to have known this. I used to meet Mr. General Malik practically every 2 days, on every second day. And I will not speak much what when 370 was abrogated, what he was and really
Thank you. I don't want to do that.
Thank you so much. We've got 3 questions, but I think more than 3. We've got 5 questions. We'll just take 2. Just 2.
Sorry. My question for you is, sir, you mentioned we are not winning the perception war. Why is that, and how can India in the future win the perception war on the international stage?
See, the perception war has become an important tool today of your strategy. And you have to convince the world that you are on the right side, you are doing the right thing, while the enemy is doing the wrong thing. It helps you to maintain morale, your own morale. It also can help you in degrading the morale of the enemy. I mean, very simply, I am talking about this is what is required of perception management. Now, the fact that Pakistan this time, with much greater help from China than they ever did as far as this aspect is concerned, they were able to put out all kinds of statements, they were able to put out all kinds of social media in particular, make use of that. And people started believing, even in India, that look, they were able to do all this harm by our own government speaking about these aspects. Like for example, Pakistan has been saying that they brought down 6 of our aircraft, and they have started naming now the pilots who were there. I saw one of the social media thing. So this kind of a thing has to be contradicted in time, and whatever your own statements are there. I have always believed, Kargil war, we won the information war incidentally. I always take pride. We were still learning at that time, but we were able to convince the whole world that we were doing the right thing, whatever we did. But this time, somehow, that impression has not come about in our own country. That is what I was trying to say. But of course, it's a matter of policy and matter of implementation of that policy. That policy must be considered all along with your own kinetic or non-kinetic action that you are taking. And it has to be part of that strategy.
One more.
One last question. Yes, sir, please.
General Malik, firstly, thank you for your leadership and your service to the country. Secondly, strategically speaking, do you think what can be done and what needs to be done so that Pakistan stops indulging in this low attrition war, all this nonsense? First Punjab problem, and then Kargil, Uri, Pulwama. Basically, do you have any strategic, broader suggestions or recommendations or prescriptions that for the government and for for the country as
Well, I know what needs to be done, but I'm not too sure whether we can do it at the moment. What needs to be done is, if Pakistan army can be placed under the direct control of the Pakistan civil government. Unfortunately, it is the other way around. And whatever is happening is because Pakistan army is not willing to give up its status that it has acquired over the years. And they can maintain their status, the kind of perks and privileges that they have got, only if they continue to show that India is our enemy and India will not permit us to live in peace. That kind of a propaganda, they continue to do that. So the first answer, I mean, as far as I am concerned, is that if Pakistan army can function the way we do it in our country, that there is a chance of, that they will give up proxy war.
But that is not in our control.
That is not in our control. That's why I said that. But the other way is, I don't know whether we have tried our best, but international people keep talking of international community pressure. International community functions for its own interest, whichever country you take it. They don't take these things, India and Pakistan, very seriously today. So while, somebody can make a statement and yet they would be giving arms, weapons and all kinds of things to the other side. The most effective weapon system that we have used now is not just Operation Sindoor, but the Indus Water Treaty that we have. Whether that will help bring about political changes on the other side, I'm not too sure. We'll have to watch and see. But till that time, I think we have to be prepared for some kind of, we will not probably be able to, we need not go for a conventional war. They know it that they will suffer a very bad defeat. But these kind of activities with hired goons of Jaish-e-Mohammed and Lashkar-e-Taiba, which are so cheaply available on the other side, that we have to be prepared mentally.
Thank you so much, sir. Okay, we'll just take one question. I think he missed out his prior question too. Yeah, please.
As a member of the international community, I'd like to ask a question genuine inquiry.
Can you come forward?
Okay, sorry. Earlier in this discussion, you mentioned that Pakistan economically, politically, militarily is insuperior compared to India. However, you also mentioned that India must increase its funding for defensive purposes. Does this truly align?
I'm still not able to hear you properly.
So he's saying increasing funding for defense, should we increase the budget for defense?
In this discussion, there have been comments that India is economically, politically, and militarily insuperior, humongously in comparison to India. But you also mentioned that India must increase its funding for defensive purposes. During Operation Sindoor, many bases were also destroyed. Is it a genuine, I'm trying to phrase this properly, is this genuinely essential funding to increase India's military capability, or is India already in a position of
So basically the defense expenditure increase.
But the larger the army, the more get some views on this preparedness.
Basically, you are asking that is it necessary for us to increase the budget?
Yes.
Okay, when I'm talking of budget, I'm not talking of only Pakistan, I'm also talking of other threats, northern border, as well as other threats all around us. So it's not only for, today we have to be prepared not just against Pakistan, but we have to be prepared against China also. So there is a whole lot of threat perception which has to be considered. And I feel that yes, we do need to, maintaining your weapon system today, the kind of technological changes that are taking place are much faster. When I joined the army, that time we used to write a doctrine which was available, which was followed for 30 years or 35 years. Today, you can't follow it beyond 5 years because of the kind of technological changes that are taking place. So we need to spend more money on our defense. And I've been conservative I didn't talk too much about it.
Thank you so much.